Okay, so Pokemon Emerald is one of my favorite Pokemon games. It's right up there with Gen 5 in my pantheon of pinnacle Pokemon. Something else I love almost as much as Pokemon? Roguelikes. I've played tons of roguelikes. Wait, sorry, I meant I've played one roguelike tons. Close enough, right? Pokemon Emerald Rogue. It's Pokemon Emerald, but a roguelike. Crazy! Let's just go over the rules real quick. Rather than going through a set region, you go down a path of randomized routes and encounters, and at the end of the path there's a gym leader. This game doesn't follow Nuzlocke rules, but there is permadeath, so you have to be careful because any mistake could mean the loss of your favorite little guy. This isn't a 100% blind run. I've seen a fair share of Emerald Rogue in my day, but this is the first time I've taken the helm. With my knowledge of Pokemon and roguelikes, can I beat Emerald Rogue in my first run? Also, I stream this live on twitch.tv/Spannondorf. You can go there to watch the magic happen, or maybe I could just move the streams here, but really it just depends on what you guys think, so leave a comment and let me know. Anyway, we begin the run, and I immediately trade my starter. Look, if anyone here has tried using a Ghastly, you understand why I did this. What I need are good early game Pokemon, and while Gengar is amazing, Ghastly is less than amazing. Instead of Ghastly, Mr. Random has bestowed upon me Tentacool. Most people would consider this a downgrade, but that's because most people sleep on the utility that Tentacool and Tentacruel provide. Especially bulky, decent special attack and speed, and plenty of utility moves means that I just got a very solid support Pokemon right off the bat. The good luck doesn't stop there, because in my very first route I get a Trapinch named Choompi, Dracozolt named Baby because Baby got fat, Torkoal named Sol, and Dracovish named Fathead. I basically have my full team immediately, but wait, it gets even better. The second route gives me a Minior, Yummy, and go up here. Just because. Oh, my baby! You're not actually baby. I gotta be honest with you. You're not a baby. This is baby. With our team decided for the first gym, all that was left was some prep time, which gave me time to make a plan. You see, Sol has Drought, and not only that, I could teach it Eruption. This is a very silly move to have access to so early, so my goal is simple. Lead with Sol, spam Eruption, and hope that the first gym just doesn't counter him. Yeah, of course the first gym leader is Giovanni. This is actually worse than it seems because I played myself here. He starts off with Diglett, which isn't really that much of a threat and basically a free switch in into Fathead. But because of the sun, my water moves are basically doing neutral damage. So I just have to hope and rely on Fathead's raw power to get through this. Fortunately, this is just a Diglett, but his next Pokemon is Geodude. Thanks to Diglett's weird hair, this thing is probably going to outspeed me. I can't switch into Tentacool due to the risk of a ground move, and I can't switch into Baby or Yummy because of the risk of rock moves, and I can't switch into Sol because of both. Choompi would be useful, but his HP is so low from earlier routes that if it's not a rock move, he's probably going down. Since no switch is perfect here, I switched into Yummy, hoping that he'd use a ground move and that I'd be safe. Of course, he used his rollout, which is possibly the worst thing that he could have done here. Now I'm in the same situation as before, only I don't have anything that could take a hit, and if I don't take this thing out as soon as possible, my run could already be over. Yeah, rollout can miss, but this is an AI, so that's not going to happen. So my last ditch effort is to switch in Choompi, hopefully resist the rollout, and then take out Geodude. Choompi takes the hit like a champ, but unfortunately Bulldoze isn't enough to take him out, so we lose our first Pokemon. Choompi, you shall be missed. Fortunately, this allows us a free switch back into Fathead, who finishes the fight. Ooh, first gym down. Hopefully it doesn't get any more intense than that. Anyway, we gotta replace Choompi, and fortunately we found the perfect replacement. From Antlion to Ant. I also found Modest and Jollymints, so our team is really making that comeback. So, now we have a Lilligant. Not even a Chlorophyll Lilligant to pair with Sol, this one has own tempo. So that's cool. Oh, and you took my money too? Awesome, so I can't even trade it away. On to the second gym where DreamWorks Ants sweeps through the whole thing without any complications. Alright, Bug Bite. I missed? Oh, do I have Hustle? He has Hustle. Where Sol sweeps through the whole thing without any complications. Okay, we're on path 3 and I really need to buy some healing items, but they're unfortunately gatekept by another game show. Hopefully Mr. Random will be kind to us this time. Right is right. Nope. Bye-bye. Okay, well. Who is Pyukumuku? Look at this. They really just thought that they could replace my baby with a Pyukumuku and then freeze it and then think I wouldn't notice. They thought I would just not even notice that this was not a Vulpix.
Twice now this man has traded away the things I love.
Okay, so I spent a lot of time trying to get this thing to be even somewhat usable, but here we are at the third gym. New strategy. I'm just gonna set up toxic spikes and go from there. If I can hex things with Tentacruel, that's great. Okay, figures. Surge starts out with Magneton, so it's time to set up the Eruption Sweep with Sol. Is what I would say if it wasn't for the fact that I forgot about his low special defense. So it's time to swap again. Turns out Lilligant running Leech Seed and Synthesis in the sun is a pretty good way to sustain yourself while stacking up Quiver Dances. Once Magneton died a slow, painful death, I was free to sweep the rest of his team with my beefed up girl boss of a Lilligant. Path 4. I desperately want to find a replacement for Disappoint, and fortunately, this path has a legendary on it. This is the absolute best case scenario. I can swap out my useless Pokemon for one that's amazing. I just have to get through one route where Disappoint lives up to his namesake because he can't even stall out one Incineroar. This thing just kept confusing him with Swagger, then flinching him. The entire point of Pyukumuku is to be the wall and the one that stalls, and he can't even do that right. At least this disappointing ride is almost over because I got to the legendary and it's a Latios. In honor of being replaced, I figured I'd use Disappoint one last time.
Oh, shit! Shit! I knew it. I was expecting it in my head. I knew it. Come back. All I did was lose my idiot. Even in his one job, he couldn't do it.
Yeah, thanks to Pyukumuku's ability dealing the same amount of damage back to Latios upon death, I lost both of them. Even in her dying breath. She's a disappointment. After some prep time and renaming our Lilligant to match her true girl boss nature, it's time for Gym 4, and I have a new strategy. I'm just gonna set up Toxic Spikes, and then switch into Lilligant and Leech Seed stall until I win.
Look, eventually, Tentacruel will be able to be first. Not this time.
Fortunately, she led with Mr. Mime, so that didn't stop me from trying. Time to sweep with DreamWorks Ants and...
Oh, I think I missed.
I knew hustle culture would never pay off. Sol was able to clean up the rest of the fight, but I'll never forget DreamWorks Ants. Path 5 is all about team rebuilding. We only have 4 guys, which isn't gonna fly on this run. Fortunately, I was able to find Eddie the mean old Yeti and the perfect pivot Pokemon, Tynamo, aka Patty. Unfortunately, both of them are stone evolutions, and I didn't get either stone from the battle shop. So we're basically going at this fight with only 4.5 usable Pokemon. Not to fear, however, because I've come up with a foolproof strategy. I'll lead with Tentacruel and set up Toxic. So not only is his whole team immune to Toxic Spikes, but he leads with a Psychic type. I'm able to take it out with Fathead, but unfortunately he takes the hit from Future Sight, so he's out for the rest of the battle. Next he sends out Galarian and Weezing to take care of Fathead, so I switch into Tentacruel to take the incoming Fairy move, and I take it out with Sludge Wave. Next up is Arbok, for some reason.
Arbok. Okay. I don't know why you would switch that in. But Fathead's out for the rest of the fight. Oh! Oh, he was scarfed. He was like scarfed, or it was something.
Thanks to this random switch in, I now have my new strategy. My goal is to take out all of his Pokemon with a Pokemon that's weak to ground moves. This baits in Arbok, where I just switch in Patty for free, forcing a different switch to take on a free Thunder Wave. This was both the most satisfying and easiest gym so far. Moving on to Path 6, it's time for Redemption. There's another legendary here, and I don't have a disappointment on my team to mess anything up.
It's Fiona, isn't it?
After some team building, including learning something new about Fathead,
You can't learn Dragon Claw. If you can't learn Dragon Claw, okay, then one of those little flipper thingies. Some of those aren't your little Dragon Claws. What about his feet? Can't learn Dragon Claw, then what are those?
it's time for the 6th gym. Now, I have a crazy new strat.
Why? I just want to play the game. I just want to use my Pokemon's one move. I just want to use it. Why is everyone so mean to me? I just want to use Toxic Spikes, man. I just want to use Toxic Spikes.
You know what? Doesn't matter. Fathead just swept her whole team. And with that, I went to bed for the night because I was tired and I was very confident in our team.
The next day.
With our team being pretty solid, just needing a few evolutionary stones, we really don't need to worry about new encounters.
Hi there.
However, this is a really good Pokemon. And he killed Fathead. So welcome to the team. Why is his name Worth? I'll explain in a second. But first, we have to catch Baby 2 to replace Eddie the mean old Yeti. Technically, Darmanitan is a better Pokemon, but having a fairy on the team would be so good when we actually end up finding an Ice Stone. Anyway, back to the name. Why is Excadrill Worth? Well, Fathead isn't exactly gone. Yes, with the power of Professor Ex Machina, our beloved Fathead has returned. So really, it's like we never even lost him. Our gamble paid off with Baby 2, because wouldn't you know it, the shop is selling an Ice Stone. After some more prep time, it's off to Gym 7, and for the first time in this run, I have a brand new strategy. And this time, it's gonna work. That's right, I finally got my Toxic Spike set up and... It has Earthquake. I don't know why I didn't see that coming. Oh, thank you, Citrus Berry. So I switched into Patty to take the Earthquake, then switched into Sol to get rid of the Sandstorm. With the sun up, I switched back into Patty to take the incoming Earthquake, just to take a Stone Edge. Since she's planning on using another Stone Edge on me, it's time for Worth to come in. He takes care of the Crustle and the Colossal, no problem, but unfortunately he couldn't outspeed a Brick Break from Lycanroc and he fell. This is probably the biggest mistake I made in this entire run. Switching the weather was probably the worst thing I could have done because Worth had Sand Rush. I could have outsped and swept Roxanne's entire team, including Lycanroc, if I had kept the permanent Sandstorm available, but in my short-sightedness, I lost possibly the best Pokemon we'll end up getting in the entire run. Fathead handled the rest of Roxanne's team, but the damage had been done. It'll definitely be an uphill battle from here. I picked up a horse named Mudweiser, got a Thunderstone to evolve Patty, finally gave Tentacruel a nickname, and now it's time to go to the 8th gym. Morty starts off with Aegislash, so I bring in Mudweiser to take care of it. After Fathead takes care of his Chandelure, Sol comes out to take care of Mimikyu, but unfortunately, the sun doesn't shine on Sol long enough. Morty swaps out his Mimikyu for his Mismagius, and I click Solar Beam thinking the sun is still up. Of course, the sun ended that turn, so Sol is gone. Cruella takes care of the Mismagius and the Mimikyu, but Morty sends out Dragapult. Fortunately, I have a solid answer for Dragapult, so I switch in Baby 2, only for it to use Fire Blast? It chose to use Fire Blast on Tentacruel for some reason. Fortunately, Baby 2 took it like a champ, and I was able to take out Dragapult with Ice Beam. But while speeding up my legally acquired Nintendo Game Boy Advance, I didn't notice that she was burned, and she died as well. At this point, speeding up is really causing a lot of needless deaths, so I quickly got rid of Mega Banette with Cruella and ended the match. After this, despite needing 2 new team members, I decided to go to a strong encounter instead of playing it safe and just going to a regular route. This gave us Delmise, which promptly killed Patty. Definitely not worth. At least I went to a full heal resting stop, but with only 4 Pokemon, I'm not liking our chances with the first Elite Four trainer. So it's time for round 2 of the Ghost Battles, and Phoebe starts out with a Mimikyu. I set up my Toxic Spikes and promptly get booted out by triggering Mimikyu's red card. Mudweiser comes out and then promptly dies from Mimikyu spamming Destiny Bond. Very fun move, glad it exists. Could have played around it, didn't, great. I then decided to stay in on Dragapult with Fathead, living on 1 and taking it out. And then I stayed in a second time to heal Fathead, causing it to die. Look, I've been watching this VOD back to record a voiceover, and I have no idea what was going through my head in these past 2 gyms. Maybe because it was a different day and I was in a different headspace, but I set myself up for success only to constantly do the dumbest things possible right at the end. I don't understand. On a lighter note, Cruella was actually able to finish this one thanks to Toxic Spikes. Since all of her Pokemon were weak to Hex, I was able to just sweep. That probably could have saved Fathead if I had actually taken advantage of it earlier. At this point, it would take a miracle to win this. A miracle or a dark deal. Also, the deal is in front of the only catchable Pokemon on this path, so I really don't have a choice. One choice. What is this? Catching Charm? Oh shit, I guess I chose this Charm. Oh, that's no. Sure, yep, I didn't need the catching one. Why would I? Ho-oh. Oh, he has Recover. It's not worth it. Like it says on the name, not worth. Sorry, Ho-oh. Anyway, on to the next Elite Four member, which I won't bother wasting your time with. We got Will, and there was no way I'm winning that with a Delmise and a Tentacruel. Thanks to a string of very bad decisions, my run was over. So, what could be learned from this? I don't know, maybe don't make like 10 bad decisions in a row and expect to come out completely unscathed.